Hello and welcome to episode 90 of This Week in Germany. We'll be bringing the world to Germany and Germany to the world with news for the week beginning the 21st of September 2015. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Rob. Each week we feature stories from the news, society, and culture in the English language. If you want to find out more, including ways to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, head over to our website, thisweekingermany.de.
Yes, you heard that right. It's episode 90. We're only 10 away from our centenary, I think they call it, 100th
100 episodes.
Yeah.
That's
and
a lot.
We have something special lined up, don't we, Rob?
For the 100th episode, we do indeed. We'll be having a live broadcasting. So we invite some of you, all of you, however many one of you that we have enough room for, to come and watch this and see how This Week in Germany is actually being made.
So not only will it be live in terms of you can be there, in terms of there's a live audience, but also you can listen live online as well and send in your comments and questions and everything like that for the guests that we'll have in the studio. It's going to be basically a This Week in Germany extravaganza. We'll give you the dates and the times and the location and everything like that. I think in our 91st episode, we should be able to announce the details then, but it's going to be great.
Wow, that's next week.
That is next week, is when we're going to announce the details. But the actual event should be in November. So
late November, yeah.
Yes, so clear your diaries for that. Rob, last week you spoke to me briefly when I called you up. And we had a fantastic episode without you, by the way. Not saying anything, but So how's your first week of second child?
Sleepless nights, once again. I forgot how much I'd enjoyed sleeping.
Well, good luck with that. Meanwhile, I've been sleeping great. Just thought I'd let you know.
Oh, thanks.
So, how is having a baby different in Germany to America? Not that you've had a baby in America, but, maybe you remember yourself being born or something like that.
I'd have to say that some of the social programs that they have here are completely amazing, like especially for dads, where you can take up to 14 months off work. Like you have 14 months split between both parents to take off for Elternzeit, so like after the kid's born to take off work. So I'm taking off a couple months spread out during the next year, and my wife is also being able to take off time to get the child ready for this world, pretty much. And also, kindergarten is great. They have Elterngeld, so you kind of like government pushes you some money for having kids and stuff like that.
Yeah,
in
because
general,
not many people have kids in Germany, not enough people at least, so they have to encourage them. And it really does help, though, doesn't it?
It does, and it's really nice. It was one of our big things. Why we decided that at first before we even thought about moving to another country, that we're going to stay in Germany at least to have kids. Because there's just such great social programs here for it.
Yes, and what's really cool as well is that because you have your first child, you can now spend more time with your first child because you're in the Elternzeit, the parental leave for your second child. So it kind of, you can be a family together. Yep. Isn't that lovely?
Planning trips, going places with the little baby pretty much just nestled in a stroller or Kinderwagen.
There's going to be a lot more family-oriented destination Germanys coming up, right?
There could be.
Well, let's speak about this week's episode number 90. What do you have coming up for us?
Well, for the destination, it is something that Germany is definitely known for. You were in late September. It's coming up on October, so that means it's Oktoberfest.
Yes.
So I'm going to be telling you all about Oktoberfest 2015.
The least family-friendly event in Germany, but the most famous. And yet, it is in September. It does begin in September. There's only a little part of it which is in October, mostly for weather reasons, but it is still called Oktoberfest. We have a very interesting German of the week.
His name is Ashok Alexander Sirtran, and he is the new mayor of the Bonn, which is the old capital of Germany, I believe. Some of the shorter stories that we have to bring to your attention of things that happened this week in Germany, two kind of like crime stories. There was a shooting in like a police shooting in Berlin this week where someone died, and as well as there's the outcome to what happened to someone that had previously tried to hijack a high-speed train in Germany. We're also going to be telling you about a really cool art show that is happening in Leipzig, which is in East Germany in the state of Saxony, and we're going to be talking about a large software company called SAP, which I'm probably sure lots of you have heard of, and they are going to be building a phone app, like a smartphone app, that's going to help refugees coming to Germany navigate through all the bureaucracy and what they need to do after they arrive.
And imagine that'll be useful not just for refugees, but for anyone who comes to Germany.
Seriously, I was thinking I need an app like that.
Yeah, because, the trouble is that someone says to you, hey, why didn't you sign up for this thing? You could save money this way, or you need to do that because it's the law, or this kind of thing.
And you're like, what? I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, you don't know to look up that you have to do this because you don't know that it exists. And sometimes things which may make you seem really naive, like health insurance. Here, it's the law to sign up for health insurance. Someone coming from America might not know that. Someone coming from Britain, where you don't even think about health insurance, might not know that. But for many people, it's obvious. Why didn't you look into it, or this kind of thing? So just to have an app to help you navigate sounds really useful. But first, we're going to start with a very interesting story. It's the 66th IAA Motor Show, took place in Frankfurt this week. All the big car manufacturers were there, but for the first time, Google had a stand at the show too. It seems this year was all about the digital future of cars. Certainly, it's a big industry for Germany, and there's huge changes on the horizon. Let's get more from a man who visited the car show himself, business journalist Paul Christian Britz. So, Paul, what were your personal highlights from the IAA Motor Show?
The most impressive thing is probably something that regular visitors unfortunately won't be able to see at all. It's the press conferences that are given by the automakers, by the car makers, to present their new vehicles. In particular, I was able to attend the Daimler press conference where they presented their new concept car, among others, and that was very, very impressive. They have this big show with light shows, and then Mr. Tseche was there speaking to an avatar, sort of going into the future. What will the future of cars be like? And then he comes out with this really futuristic-looking silver car that is sort of bullish in the front, and when you look at it from the back, it has these red gleaming lights that sort of look like it has a rocket accelerator or something like that. So that was really impressive. And then the whole car itself changes to be more aerodynamic, and there's dancers on stage, and it's just this huge spectacle.
They're putting on a big show for you then, by the sounds of it. Oh, by the way, I should mention Dietmar Zetscher is the CEO, I believe, right, of Daimler. Has a very impressive mustache.
He does. He was mentioning that also. He said something along the lines of, feeling like a Santa sometimes. But yeah, it is a very massive show. I mean, the entire IAA is a very massive show. It's, I believe, the size of 33 football fields, so it's huge, really. Once you've walked it for a day, you definitely know what you've done. And also the massive amounts that car makers spend just to impress people there. I believe just Audi, as a car maker, has 400 kilograms of gummy bears on its shopping list for that event. So just, odd reference point, but it's huge. It's huge and very impressive.
Well, that definitely gives you an insight into the ancillary things. There's loads of cars, of course, but just to what they spend on showing off these cars, the effort that they go into to make sure that on that day this car is launched perfectly. And apparently there were, I believe, something like 200 world premieres at this year's event as well. So pretty impressive, pretty big, pretty important as well. And, the whole future of the car industry is displayed, well, as much as they're willing to show at the moment, is displayed at the Frankfurt Motor Show, and as well as the Paris Motor Show, which happens in alternate years. But if we look at this year's show in Frankfurt, to what extent could you see that digital tech is the future of the German car industry. Was much on display in the way of digital technology there?
It was the first time actually that the IAA had a special hall dedicated to what they call New Mobility World. So everything concerning electric cars, connected cars, connected driving systems, cars communicating either with each other or with networks, with maps. So that was especially dedicated to that very issue. And there were a lot of manufacturers presenting different technology as well. There's also an outdoor park where you're able to check out some of these systems. I was able to get into one car that had an Autobahn assistant, so it suggests lane changes, or it suggests not to make a lane change when you decide, that would be kind of nice to get in the other lane, but there's a car really, and you didn't see it. And another very interesting assistant is a parking assistant, where you can basically program or teach your car to park itself in a parking spot, and then you can recall that and repeat that without you having to be inside the car. You just push a button on your smartphone from the outside, and it parks by itself, which is kind of a little creepy, but is also very interesting to see, what is possible already. And that particular one, they're trying to, an early version is actually right now in the BMW 7 Series, and then supposedly we should be able to get picked up by our car at a public parking garage by 2018.
Wow!
So yeah, pushing the future there.
Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens then. But I know Google says that it wants to have self-driving cars available to the public in 5 years. It remains to be seen. It's a very ambitious goal. It remains to be seen whether that will happen. But
there was. Sorry to interrupt you. There was the Google Germany representative at the fair, and he actually said, Google doesn't want to be a car maker. They may want to have the self-driving car on the streets, but they don't want to be a car maker, and they're not able to. And I think that's something that probably calmed some of the German car industry, if they believe it. But the ideas, or the idea that was presented is, we're not trying to be competition, we're trying to be partners.
Okay, and finally, self-driving cars are set to change the way that we in Germany and people around the world live. To what extent do you think it will change our day-to-day lives?
It's definitely a security issue. That's I think the main motivator for people to develop it on the one hand, to buy it on the other. And I think it can sort of make your life easier in situations where you have to drive but you don't want to drive. For example, if you're in a traffic jam, you're sitting there, things aren't moving, or they're moving really slow, and you might not have the concentration, or just don't want to sit in the car and pay attention all the time to stop and go and stop and go. So, that assistance systems could pick that up and just sort of do that work for you. That's one aspect. Or if your driving abilities just aren't as good as the situation might require. Maybe there's a sudden movement, or something just suddenly runs in front of your car, whether it's a kid or an animal or something like that. Sort of assisting you in situations that, as a person, and maybe as an unexperienced driver or an unsure driver, you can't handle by yourself. And then there's another aspect. That's just comfort, and comfort is another aspect in that whole self-driving and tech development world. For one thing, maybe at one point we won't even have to go to the store and buy our things. We tell our car what we want to have, and then it will drive there. It will be loaded onto the car, and the car comes back and it's done that for us.
Well, the future of cars definitely looks very interesting, and German industry will be watching the developments closely. Business journalist Paul Christian Britz, thank you very much for joining me here on This Week in Germany.
Thank you.
And now for this week's News in Brief. A police officer was forced to shoot a man in Berlin this week after that man attacked another police officer with a knife. On Thursday, police went to the district of Spandau, where a man was reported who was acting very aggressively towards people passing by. When a police officer approached the man, he stabbed her in the neck with a very long knife. A fellow police officer then shot the man, who ended up dying at the scene. The man who died had previously been convicted in 2008 for planning an attack in Berlin when the former Iraqi prime minister was visiting the city. Prosecutors were saying that he was a suspected Islamist, but it was way too early to speculate if there were any terrorist motives involved. An innocent bystander was also accidentally hit by one of the bullets fired by the police, but she was not seriously wounded. The police officer attacked remains in intensive care, but is currently in stable condition. For those wondering what some of the eastern cities, like Leipzig, looked like before they started receiving their modern look, they should check out the oil paintings of Heiko Mattausch. Each week, he is releasing 2 new paintings that depict Leipzig in a urban abandoned or industrial way, as he describes. He has been in the city for much of his life, and he's been noticing the changes. He says at some point Leipzig will become completely gentrified, and he wants to be able to preserve the old look of the city in his artwork. Check out his site and his paintings at hmat.de/Wolkenbilder. The largest software creator in Europe, SAP, is working on an app for smartphones that will help migrants arriving in Germany better navigate the bureaucracy here. They say the app will be free. It lets migrants enter their personal data and list information like family members, education, and work experience. They don't even need to be in Germany yet and can already get a head start before reaching the country. German officials would also be able to use the app to access the registration forms from the app's database. This way, they could better keep track of people coming into Germany and ensure that they're going through the proper channels to receive everything they need. This is an innovative app to look out for that will not only be helping those coming to Germany get started, but also the officials who will be registering them. And coming up right now is Destination Germany, where we take you on a journey somewhere in the country that we think is well worth a visit. Whether you're a tourist or a permanent resident, a foreigner, or a German citizen, something for everyone. We'll be covering those famous sites that everyone knows, as well as those little-known corners of Deutschland that no one knows, but they should, or they will want to know about them. All that really matters is that we're going to show you that Germany is a really interesting place to visit, and reasons why you should find somewhere new to take a vacation, or at least a short weekend trip,
or at least get out of the house, away from your computer.
Sofa.
Yeah.
See Germany.
Yes, and if you enjoy all the destinations we talk about each week, then check out our website, thisweekingermany.de, where we'll have photos of this week's destination. So last week, we had a bunch of destinations from callers in who helped me out while you were having a baby, basically. And yeah, we heard about Frankfurt. We heard about a place in the Black Forest with a giant house, which is at the same time a cuckoo clock. So yeah, really interesting destinations. And so just check out episode 89 from last week if you want to hear about those. But what about this week?
Well, I have to start out by making a confession.
Did you shoot someone in the face like in Grand Theft Auto because you played the game too much and thought you'd try it out for real, and then you got a 3-star rating and the cops chased you and you had to try and hide in an alleyway? And
never. Violence is never the solution. No, but I have to confess something that I'm a little bit sad about, because there was something that I was talking about on the podcast last year, something that I wanted to go and do. I said I was going to do it this year. It's one of Germany's biggest festivities that they have in the entire country and that the entire world knows about. And it's something that's just, it was one of these huge things that happens in Germany once a year. And I said I was going to go to it because I'd never been to it. And then once again, I was not able to make it.
Well, as you mentioned at the top of the program, it's not really a family-friendly place to take your kids. So I can kind of understand why you haven't gone. But you're talking about Oktoberfest.
That is correct, and not to make excuses, but we did just have a addition to our family, which I wouldn't be able to go. But that's not really an excuse at all, because if you want to go to Oktoberfest in Germany, you need to start planning like a year in advance. So once again, I want to tell all our listeners about these main events as this start is just starting right now. Oktoberfest is in Munich, and that is located in the southern state of Bavaria.
So for all those people who want to get their party started, give us the details on Oktoberfest.
Okay, I'm going to concentrate on this year's celebration, as I know that we could easily do an entire podcast just on Oktoberfest. So it started this past weekend. It was the 182nd Oktoberfest, and for the 2015 festivities have officially already begun.
So I'm going to ask the question which everyone asks every time you say something about Oktoberfest, but it's not October, it's September.
That is correct. The short and concise reason why Oktoberfest has been moved to late September, and it also goes through early October rather than just being in October, is due to German weather. It starts to get quite cool mid-October, and as you move later into those November, December, winter months, then so people want to take advantage of the nice, warm, late summer weather. So starts in late September and goes into early October.
So you said the party's already begun?
Yep, just started this past weekend on September 19th. In the morning, they made the traditional parade through the city. They had kegs of beer that they transported from some of the breweries to the fairgrounds, and that had tons and tons of spectators because it's a huge event. And at noon, right on the strike of noon, the mayor of Munich taps the first keg, and that is when this year's and every year's Oktoberfest officially begins.
Yeah, and let's not make any mistake and think that it's just a polite tea party where everyone's just drinking responsibly.
Okay. It's not quite the beer guzzling event that everyone thinks it is. I mean, not to say that it's not a beer guzzling event. It's a lot of beer guzzling. I mean,
but there's more to it.
Yeah, there's more to Oktoberfest than just drinking beer. But it's not exactly like what you might see if you've seen a movie or a television show where you're just like, oh, it's the German spring break where all these young people go and just drown themselves in alcohol. While that does happen, there are a lot of young people that go and drown themselves in alcohol and wear lederhosen and dirndls. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Great. Okay. They're traditional kind of like Bavarian thing that you might think of. But there's a lot more to it. It's in a fairground that is over 100 acres large, and there's tons and tons of stuff to do, like different types of restaurants and tons of different food. There's games, there's shows, there's tons of activities. It's a lot of things. There's over 600 vendors at the fair, and only a few of those are the actual like beer halls or beer tents where what you might think of when you think of Oktoberfest, and you see everyone's just sitting inside a huge tent chugging masses, the liters of beer. But there's also like carnival rides and games, and you can buy trinkets and stuff like that. And there's also live entertainment, which is pretty neat.
Yes, and I have to warn you that if you go there, let's say too late or without a reservation, those beer tents are closed. They are full. They will not let anyone else in, or you'll be queuing outside the front, waiting until a certain amount of people go out so you can be let in. So you really should make a reservation or get there early. And by early, I mean early in the morning, around is it 8 a.m. or something
Yep.
that it opens, in order to start drinking in the morning. It's one of the only ways you can get a place is to go at the off-peak time, so to speak. But it does get very, very busy. Anything that you can tell us about the actual beer at Oktoberfest?
I want to tell you about two different important facts. All the beer in Oktoberfest must be brewed within the city limits of Munich. There's also a strict criteria and a set of regulations that must be met in order to serve beer at Oktoberfest. In general, you'll be ordering a Mass, which is a 1 liter of beer. That's how it comes. There'll be 32 different tents and vendors that sell beer at Oktoberfest, and the prices are not always the same. These beers are full, like these iconic full liter beers you're going to get everywhere, and they cost this year between $10.10 to $10.40 a piece. So it's a bit expensive, but you are getting an entire liter of beer, so it's not that much more expensive than just regular pub.
So for those that might not be going to Oktoberfest this year, what else is going on at the festival?
Well, this year, something that they've had that they didn't have last year, as an example, is they have this really cool 4-story haunted house called the Demion. I think I'm saying that right. And it said it's supposed to be quite a scary place. Like, you still can bring kids, but not like little kids, because they might get a little too scared. So they have a cool haunted house there. They also have rides and games each year, but this time they have Europe's largest swing ride. So if you want to take a high-speed flight through the sky, that will be waiting for you at Oktoberfest 2015. And they have a new motorcycle, a death-defying motor show called Motordom, that they're having a whole bunch of motorcycle tricks.
Motordrome.
Did I say Motordrome? Yes, not Motordom. Motordrome. Thank you. And they always have a wide variety of different foods and treats that are different from the previous years. So there's a lot of different new things that happen. If you've gone to like Oktoberfest in the past, there's going to be something new for you when you get there the following year.
So that's all if you're not going to the beer tents themselves. But time for a roundup. Maybe you should sell me on why I should be going to Oktoberfest.
Okay. This mega 2-week event is something extremely iconic in Germany. Is it overblown and touristy? A bit. Is it a toll on your wallet for the expensive fair prices and beers and food and everything? Yes. Well, you have to wade through tons of people in lederhosen and dirndls and stuff like that? Yes. But you should still do it because you're there for the experience. There's a reason that so many people just have such a great time and they make great memories there, and they just keep on going year after year, and that's why the tables sell out 9 months in advance, is because people have such a great time there. And while, once again, I have not made it to Munich for Oktoberfest this year, now I am planning to go, already have a plan with a family member that will be registering early for hotels, tent passes, the works, checking the calendar for the events that we want to attend, and we will be at the 183rd Oktoberfest in 2016.
And that family member is your young daughter, who you're going to get some drinking practice in nice and early. Yes, exactly. So if you want to see some Oktoberfest photos, just go to our website, thisweekingermany.de, and see all of that action there. Next up, our German of the Week section, where we put the spotlight on a prominent person from this week's news, who could be a German citizen or even a foreigner who we deem an honorary German, who's had an effect, for better or worse, on German culture, society, or politics.
This episode, our German of the Week is a newly elected official from the country's former capital. The CDU candidate, Ashok Alexander Sirharan, has just been announced as the next mayor of Bonn. His father was a diplomat from India and moved to Germany in the mid-60s, where he met Sirharan's German mother. He grew up and spent much of his life living in Bonn, and eventually he got into politics. Over 50% of the vote went to him this past Sunday in the election. Other than the issues that he and his party stand for, he credits his victory to people looking at his personal efforts. He made himself well known in the community, and he really wants to help the city. One of his goals in his term is to rebrand the city. He wants to push Bonn as the birthplace of where Ludwig van Beethoven was born, and he wants to make it the Beethoven City.
And that German of the Week section brings us to the end of episode number 90.
We want to give a big thanks to business reporter Paul Christian Britz for telling us about his experience at the Frankfurt Motor Show. You can read more of his reporting on Twitter at PCBritz. And besides all the great content, you can also find our social media links on our website, thisweekingermany.de.
Yes, we've got all our past episodes on there. You can listen to everything, even going back all the way to episode number 1, if you really want to do that. I don't know why you would. So, remember, This Week in Germany is produced by Daniel Winter and is written and presented by myself and Rob Bishop. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back at the same time, in the same place, in 7 days, with more of This Week in Germany.